We got Mr. Harry Manfredini. We got Tracie Savage. We got Ron Sloan. We got Vince DiSanti. And we got Christopher Norris. Let's go, baby. Anybody got any questions for anybody up here? Nothing's off the table. Just, be respectful. What we got? For who?
Ron Sloan.
Ron Sloan. Okay.
He seems to be kind of a polarizing figure, and I know he's no longer with us, but do you have any Danny Steinman stories?
Well, yeah, I do have a Danny Steinman story. Wow, that's a tongue twister. Danny, say that 3 times real quick. There was some controversy for some actors on the set with Danny, but for me personally, I had no controversy at all. Basically, I was very fortunate because when I auditioned for Danny, and I won't go through the whole story, but basically, after working with auditioning for Danny, and that was on the first call, as I was leaving, he turned to me and he said, "I'm really gonna love working with you, kid." And in my mind, that makes you think, "Oh, but did I got the part right?" Then I get a call back, and it's like, oh, and I'm back, and I meet Frank Mancuso Jr., and Danny introduces me to Frank, and he goes, "Hey, I'm really going to love working with this kid." Again, I'm on cloud 9, and then, you leave, and they go, "Well, you'll hear from us." And it was like a couple days later, and it's like, but Danny was really nice to me. He gave us, Carol and I, the freedom to improvise. There was absolutely no conflict, absolutely none, and he was a very genuine guy. I mean, of course he had an edge. He was like from New York, right? New York. Yeah, there we go. Maybe he was from New Jersey, I don't know. He was over here someplace. I was a California boy at the time. So that's my story with Danny. Oh, very good to me. He gave us the freedom to create and be who we wanted to be in the film.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, who else got a question? Come on, don't be shy. Somebody's out there. Yep, I got you.
Tracie. Yes.
Okay.
Did they ever find the people that burned down the set in part 3?
That is a good question. Actually, Stace? They did, yes. My source tells me that they did, and they made an arrest, but they didn't get punished. It was an accident. They had set a little campfire. They were reenacting a campfire scene, and something went haywire. So to answer your question, my source tells me the answer is yes.
Thank God.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right, who else? Come on, I know somebody. Question, any one of these 5 up here? Nobody. Go ahead. This gentleman right here. No, come on, man. What do we got?
I'll go for Tracie.
Okay.
In the original script for 3, was your character supposed to be pregnant from the beginning? And if so, what do you think? Why? And what do you think that added or took away from your character?
In the original script, yes, absolutely, the character was pregnant. There was that line, and we're pregnant. But what they were thinking and why, I think it was just to add a little bit of intrigue, to make her a little racier, to make her death a little more horrific because she's carrying an unborn child. Make the stakes higher, yeah, and just to throw it in. And I was the little slut on that film, so so they wanted to, show that I got around a little bit.
All right, guys, come on. We got another question. Any one of these gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen up here? Oh, I got you. Go ahead. I got you next, Melissa. No, you're up. She's a. I got you.
I'm sorry to keep picking on you,
That's
but
okay.
Tracie, where's the spotlight?
your death scene. So that was homage to the original. Was that by any chance when you were murdered with the machete through the?
Kevin.
Kevin Bacon.
It sure seemed that way.
Yeah.
But there's only so many ways you can kill a group of teenagers, so you pretty soon you start repeating the deaths. And I thought that death was particularly phenomenal, right? It was wonderful. Just laying in the hammock, and the knife comes out the front of your neck. It was a great scene. And in 3D made it even more interesting. Yeah.
All right, back there, Melissa.
Well, I have a 17-year-old son, and he's cool about it. And we don't even really talk about it. But some of his friends, know. And there is a scene where I'm in the shower, and I don't know what his friends actually say to him. I don't want to know. I'd prefer not to know. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh.
You got any 13 fanboy questions? Anybody? Yep, right here. Boom.
How did each of one of you get involved with the project?
All right, let's start with Chris. Go around this way.
Alrighty. Yeah. All right. So how I got involved? Deborah Voorhees was running an Indiegogo campaign, and I thought that was really cool. Been a big fan of the Friday series for a long time, and when I saw that she had a Scream Queen perk where you could get killed in the film, I was like, too bad I'm not a chick. And asked her, and she's like, oh, no, it doesn't have to be a chick. So she said it was all good if I wanted to take that role. And so she got, a little bit of waiting, a lot of waiting. And then, eventually got to go out and work with Vinny here and Tracie on set in New Mexico, which was amazing. They're wonderful to work with. Nora Hewitt did an incredible job with the effects and everything. I've just got more and more involved with the film community after that. Had a little cameo in The Eyes of Tammy Faye, another movie called The 24th, things like that, some other stuff coming up.
It launched your career.
Yeah, exactly, right. So, but...
We were there, Vince.
Exactly, yeah, you popped my cherry, guys. I mean, hey, so, yeah, exactly, right? There's my cherry.
Hey, don't give it away, don't give it away.
All right.
Wearing the thing all weekend.
There you go, yeah. All right.
I thought he was an advertiser.
I did a little film called Never Hike Alone that sort of took off and put me on the map. And Deb, before she was going to do Indiegogo, reached out to me. Like, I started meeting a lot of the alumni. They reached out, said, good work and stuff like that. But Deb had reached out and asked me about the Indiegogo process and how to raise funding, and asked if I would help her out with a teaser. So we went out with, it was me, Andrew Lady from Never Hike Alone, Haley Greenbauer, who stars as Dash in the film, and the three of us and a few other local actors from Ruidoso, New Mexico, where Deb is from. And we shot the teaser, and I was just part of it the whole time. Then it was, come back, I got a role for you, and I want you to stunt double and do this. And I showed up on set, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but they said, hey, you're actually going to do this. And I was like, okay, I got lines to memorize. I literally thought I was going to be a consultant most of the time, just to kind of help them out on, production on set, because I do a lot of ADing, directing, producing, writing, and things like that. So I was kind of shadowing Deborah for a little bit, and then they offered me a role, and I said, heck yeah, I'd love to do it, and had a blast. Got to go to Ruidoso twice, and do some real fun stunts and stuff. Meet Ron and Tracie and Chris and everybody, and it was a blast. It was a time of my life.
Well, I was kind of fortunate not to mention another con, but I was at Horror Hound, which is not nearly as personal as this here. This is a nice one-on-one,
We all did.
It's like adopting a baby brother here. It's,
Love this guy.
Hey, don't tell my wife. Don't tell my wife. Yeah, I know you are. No, don't say anything. No. No, I was at Horror Hound with Deborah Voorhees, and Deborah and I did part 5 together, and it's just conventions over the years, sitting together talking, and there's a nice bond. And Deborah said, hey, do you want to go for a walk before the convention? I was like, well, sure. Well, Deborah likes to walk. I mean, this girl, she can hike. So, here I was thinking it's just like a little stroll in the park around the block. No, we put on some miles before the convention. And while we were walking and talking, she said, near the end of the walk, I wrote a small part for you in a film I would love for you to play. And I went, well, sure. I mean, what actor turns down work, Well, it was about a year and a half later, I get a script emailed to me, And she said, well, you have a starring role in the film. I go, I'm not complaining about the small part. She goes, well, the more I got to know you, the bigger your part got. So to me, that was an honor. I truly, I think you guys will enjoy 13 Fanboy if you haven't seen it. Dee Wallace, oh my God. She just puts it all on the table. Tracie, you put it all on the table too in a different way. There might be a blood donation or something in there, you know.
It took days for that blood to get up.
Oh my God. But very fortunate, and what's really amazing that the part was actually written for me. So that to me is an honor in itself. But yet, yeah, my character does a few things I don't really do in real life. And the next is you.
It's me. Well, Deborah Voorhees, also the director and producer and one of the actors of the film, and you all know who she is. She called me also. I had never met Deborah. I've only been to 3 conventions, all in New Jersey, by the way, except for the first one in Hollywood. But I've done 3 conventions in 40 years.
Jersey loves you.
I love Jersey. Apparently, I love it a lot because I keep coming back. And I had a busy broadcast journalism career, and I worked for 30 years for NBC on the air in Los Angeles. And so I just was too busy to do conventions. Anyway, about a year and a half before we started shooting, Deborah connected with me and called me out of the blue and said, you don't know who I am, or maybe you know who I am, but I'm writing a movie. Would you be interested in playing yourself? Because now I'm a college professor. I've been a full-time college professor for the last 10 years. And I'm like, well, I'm not much of an actress anymore. I haven't done it since I was 20. But I can play me. I can do myself. That's easy enough. And so we talked, and she told me a little bit about the script. I really didn't even know what happened in the movie until I got on the set. I mean, but I trusted her. And anyway, she asked me if I would come and work for just a few days and play a college professor in her movie. And I thought, why not? It sounds like a blast. And what I was so impressed, and I guess with your help on this, how she crowdfunded the film was really impressive. It's amazing how she was able to pull it together. And that impressed me about her a lot. And then she was a wonderful director, so that made it fun too. And so I don't act anymore. I haven't. I was a child actress. I worked for years, from the time I was 2 years old till I was 20. But now, every once in a while, when I get a chance to do, a couple of days here or there, especially if it's just playing myself, not too hard to do, I jump at it just because it's fun.
Yeah, and Harry.
Am I in this movie?
I had to do it. You were the corpse in the body bag.
Oh, I was in the body bag. Yeah.
He's okay now, though.
There were talks of Oscars, but different. So, I going along with that, I'm looking forward to seeing this. I'd just like to add a couple of things because people brought up other things that I didn't say anything. First of all, Danny Steinman was an absolute dream. I love that guy, and it's a sad life at the end and everything, but he was just great to work with. And a couple of my favorite stories was Mancuso and everybody were all going out after spotting the picture and stuff, and so the editor and okay, we're all going out for a Paramount. Oh, we're gonna go to blah blah place, fancy schmancy place. And Daddy grabs me by the arm. Come on, we're going to Tommy's Burgers, you and me. So we went to Tommy's Burgers, and it was like, he was so much of a New York guy and a straight ahead guy. And we both talked that we were at his last convention, and I was sitting next to him, and he was astounded that anybody wanted to see him sign something. He could not understand that. It was just like, you mean this is what happens? Yeah, that's what happens. Anyway, so God bless you, Danny. And the other thing, we were talking about Friday the 13th, Part 3, and if you remember, right after that, or right in that time period, there were a gazillion 3D movies came out, but the trouble was, they were all BS 3D. They weren't. They just 3D'd something that they already made. Friday the 13th Part 3 was shot knowing that it was going to be in 3D. And if you go back and you'll see how Steve caused all these shots to happen. For the very first scene, with the sheets blowing in the wind, remember on the outside, and the wind is blowing, and the sheets are coming out of the screen, and then they open up the cabin, and all these doors start opening, and suddenly this cabin is like 50 feet long, and you're sort of pushed in it. Every possible shot that he thought of was considered as a 3D shot. Yeah, needless to say, the eyeballs and those things. But even just this, I don't know what you want to call it, just the random shots of what you saw, he was thinking 3D all the way, which made it way better than regular 3D. And I'm supposed to be in something later on. I don't know what it is. So anyway, I'll stick around, see if I see myself.
We got you, Harry. Thank you, guys. A little round of applause. Any other questions for any? Oh, well, Brian, South Jersey Jason, what do we got?
All right, so I got a question for Harry again. So
I was like, I just took a swig of water.
So 2017, you composed music for the video game. Yeah. Was that any different than? Thank you. 2017, you composed the score for the video game. How is that different from the movie, or is that the same thing?
Very different, and the quick answer is this. It's totally different because in the game, how many people have played the game? Okay. Anyway, in the game, there's 7 people playing at the same time. So you decide to go look at a cabin. And we're all playing, let's say us 7 are playing. You decide to go look at the cabin. You decide to keep walking. You go and find the car. He's looking for the bathroom. He's in the bathroom. All right.
I'm in the hammock.
She's in the hammock. So what happens is this. Everybody who plays that game creates their own score. The score follows whatever that you do. So for I had to write a piece for every possible choice that you could possibly make. It's like 200 minutes of music. So he went off to the cabin. All right. So he hears music that goes to the cabin. Even though we're all playing the same game, you're going to hear a different piece of music. You're going to hear a different piece of music. The only thing that I scored that's like a film is the kills, which they sent me the kill. Sometimes it was a cartoon kill. Sometimes it was Kane Hodder in a rubber suit, which is hysterically funny looking. And sometimes it was just, sometimes it was the actual kill. But those are the only ones that I scored like a film. Other than that, it was just made up stuff out of my head.
All right. Any other question? Oh, we got you. Who's it for?
Harry. Harry. Yeah. What is your favorite piece of music that you composed?
Probably a piece you never heard. I don't. That's just ridiculous hard. Every movie that I do, there's always one in there that I absolutely love. I mean, if you said Friday 2, I would tell you it's the scene where Amy dresses up as Mrs. Voorhees, and we go to that room. That was the first cue I wrote because the first thing I heard of that movie. Part 3, well, when we decided to disco Jason, that was like that. And then, every one of them. We were talking earlier at the table in House 2. Notice I only do movies with numbers. in House 2, I got to write music for a baby pterodactyl, a worm dog, a cowboy that was just a skeleton. So I mean, every movie has one or two pieces. So that's my best answer to that.
All right. Any other questions, guys? Brian.
All right, this goes out to Vin. All right. And Jason Rising.
Walking to the light, Brian.
I'm a noob. Okay. In Jason Rising, you were Officer Playboy. That's right. In 13 Fanboy, you were a gigolo. Do you feel you're going to be stereotyped now?
As a killer or as
Yes. Gladly. No, I mean, I don't know. It's funny. Both things, like, I don't know. With the Jason Rising thing, I was actually literally replacing somebody. There was somebody who was supposed to take that role, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. We had like a big guest in the final scene, and we had to rewrite that scene. And so I kind of wrote this part. And originally James is the director, and I was co-writing and producing. And I didn't write. Officer Playboy wasn't supposed to be me, and then as soon as like two people dropped out, me and James were like, all right, you and I are doing it, so we don't have to mess with this anymore, and we'll just do it on set. So that was a ton of fun. Yeah, and then the scene with you'll see it in 13 Fanboy, me and Judy, but it was a fun surprise. It was like you get to go climb in bed with Judy Ronson, and I was like, okay, I don't hate that. And what's nice is that, on one of the first days, it was me, Judy, and Tracie rehearsing scenes. And that was, like, I think my first, like, real kind of, like, awesome memory from the set was because we got to hang out all night and rehearse the scene and go through it. And it's a really fun scene. You'll see it in the film. But that was great. I mean, so it was just great in, getting to know everybody and have that experience. But it was definitely surreal that I'm playing, like, these kind of creepy characters. As soon as I put the mustache on, it's, like, just goes from 0 to 10 really, really quick.
Here we go, Vinny, baby. Here we go, Vinny.
You're a little short. Leave it on the dresser.
I got it. Meet me later.
Does anyone have any questions?
Regarding 385, I know 3 was shot in California. Where was that shot in California?
north of Los Angeles, out on a ranch.
And where was the location of Pinehurst in Part 5?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was Pinehurst was in Camarillo, California, Santa Rosa Canyon. So, yeah, and actually the cabin, the barn, we had this discussion with Shane. Shane Erickson was also in 13 Fanboy. Yeah, well, you're welcome, man. He survived. You'll be in part 2.
Left class before
That's true. That's it. But Friday the 13th, part 5, parts of it were shot in Santa Rosa Canyon. It's an old ranch, orchards, orange orchards. Off limits. Oh yeah, it's one you can't visit. It's actually fenced now. They don't want fans there. Pretty wild. But the barn, the cabin, and Pinehurst, the house in the background with Richard. What was Richard's last name? No, who ran the Pinehurst? Richard Young? Richard? I can't remember. Senior moment. Anyway, that was all in one location. Crystal Lake was out in the canyon, Franklin Canyon. I don't know. This was like near the reservoir and stuff. It was pretty eerie. It was where my little motel scene, the sign blinking, I get in a fight with John Shepard.
Well, that's in 5. Yeah.
In 5.
Yeah, the
Well,
rest stop is still there. It's been renovated, but it's still there.
yeah. So, very cool. But yeah, that was at Camarillo. Pretty wild. Also, just a quick note on 13 Fanboy. If you guys go on IMDb, type in Ron Sloan, you will see a scene that's not in the movie. It didn't make the cut, and it's a bedroom scene. Sorry, Vince. You weren't the only one that. You weren't the only one that was a stud muffin in this movie.
I got an extra 20 feet.
So seriously, it's not in the movie. It's and it'll explain itself, you know. But But no, but no, seriously, it's one of those outtake scenes, but it's not funny. Mine's a serious outtake.
Did Shane pass your class?
He was my top student. We call him a teacher's pet.
Brought you an apple.
Yes.
Yeah, Shane, you passed, Shane. All right, guys, we got one more question. Anybody have one last question? Yes, sir.
So, for all the actors, you've died a lot, especially you, Ron. What's your favorite death?
Down the line, let's go. Let's start with Ronnie. 'Cause
Okay, well, I died 3 times in 1 year. I didn't take it personally. My parents were a little upset because I'd come and go, I got the part. My mom would go, you died, don't you? I booked a part on a soap opera called Santa Barbara. I came home, I said, I got the part. My mom, again, said, you die, don't you? I said, no, Mom, I don't. She goes, oh, thank God. We finally get to watch you in something. I go, well, I'm the killer. She goes, with that baby face. I go, Mom, it's a onesie you don't suspect. True story on that. Well, part five, I mean, come on. You know, I got the head from the movie. I mean, you know, the whole process on that, the making of the prosthetic, I mean, that's the most memorable. I would never do that again, but that's the most memorable thing. So, yeah, part 5 so far.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to give away anything, but in 13 Fanboy, I alluded to it before, I had so much blood on me, and I had to fly home like an hour later, and we weren't anywhere where I could take a shower, so I'm like leaning into a sink, and it was all over me. My bra, my underwear, my legs, my everything. I was coated in blood. It was awful. I was so much blood, and I did the best to kind of, but I was literally pink. My skin was pink for days, even after multiple showers. Yeah. However, the Friday the 13th killing was awesome. What made it different was that it was in 3D, and it took a lot longer to shoot because the lighting had to be just right to make that 3D effect work. And also, I had a prosthetic that was attached to me. The way they did that scene, and it's really pretty phenomenal, they made a replica of my chest, and then made from about here to my hips, and made a replica torso out of foam. And they glued it to my neck right here. And so I was in the makeup chair for about 4 hours to get this so that you couldn't see the seam. And they cut a hole in the hammock, and my body was under the hammock, but the fake body was on top of the hammock, the fake torso. So there was a little bit of room between where my real neck is and where the fake neck is that they could sneak the knife in through there. But they only came up with 2 or 3 of those. They produced 2 or 3 of those torsos, and it took forever to glue it on. So we had to do it in one take. I mean, that was the thing. It had to be done in one take. The blood had to be just right in one take. The lighting had to be perfect in order to get it.
Was that like all day?
It was a all day thing. Yeah, it took all day to shoot that 12-second scene.
That's exactly the way they did it in Friday 1, too. But were you wearing a necklace? Do you remember?
I was, but I don't think. I think it was a problem because I don't think I had it on in the scene when I died. Yeah.
Because that's what they did.
Yeah. Go. Yeah.
In Friday, in the original Friday with Kevin Bacon, it's exactly the same thing. There was a body, and then Kevin Bacon's head only came up just like yours.
Yeah.
But the Savini, he's a genius. He says, take your necklace, and he took, so his necklace
Covered the scene.
Covered the fact that you saw the necklace, so it pulled those two things together. But if you look real close and real slow, you'll see that it's exactly the same way they did you.
Yeah.
The necklace is the key to pulling the shot together.
Yeah. And by the way, I took those foam that foam replica of my torso, including my chest, and sent it to my then boyfriend. He lived across the country, and so I'm like, here, you can cuddle with this.
It's also available on eBay.
Before I get into my death, I will say a story about Ron's death. Before I got into horror movies, I worked in children's animation. That's the segue. I worked on a film called Freebirds, and we needed a scene where it's about two turkeys that discover a time machine, go back to the first Thanksgiving to take turkey off the menu. So there's two turkeys and they're fighting, and one of them clotheslines the other one. We needed a scene where the one was running away and the turkey gets clotheslined. And I got them to reference Friday the 13th Part 5 for the scene for Ron's death to say, we're going to shot for shot remake his death, but we're just going to clothesline the turkey instead of beheading him. And it's shot for shot. If you go back and watch that movie, in like the first maybe, it's called Freebirds. Came out in 2013.
Wait, does that make me a turkey?
Yeah, but definitely, I've actually died a lot in films. Every time I'm an extra, I get killed. But my favorite death is by far Jason Rising, Officer Playboy's death is probably my finest acting moment I think I've ever done.
All right. Well, I have not died as many times on screen. Not yet. I don't know. So obviously, as far as my own death, the 13 Fanboy was pretty epic. Had a great time doing it. And I still, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
I still have the blood all
blood
inside. Yeah. So there was a little bit of blood in that scene, and for 6 months it was still showing up on the Q-tips. I cleaned my ears. I was still pulling blood out of my ears. So it was pretty epic. And one little behind-the-scenes thing, when we were doing the special effect, Deborah wanted to make sure she could use the audio from it with the grunts and things that Vinny was doing. And so she told everybody, do not make any noise when we're doing this shot. I really would like to use that. And it was so intense that one of the assistants screamed and almost fainted just watching the effect shot get done. So we're like, this is going to work, So she had to fix that. But yeah, so hopefully if you haven't seen it, you get a similar reaction.
I got to tell you, you definitely have to watch 13 Fanboy, guys. It's on Showtime right now. Check it out. Go online, support it, please, if you can. Amazon, they have it on Amazon. Deborah's just a great person. I really wish she was able to be here today. There was just situations beyond both our control. But she's here in spirit. And I got to tell you, I enjoyed that movie so much. Honestly, man, I got a lot of positive feedback for it as well. Your death scene, I love Tracie's. Okay. Oh, I just spoiled it. Yeah, spoiler alert, you guys got it. But yeah, I did love Tracie's, but yours definitely second. I really enjoy it. But you know what we need from you right now? I need you to bust out the mop, Chris. What are we doing? Look at the rain. I mean, could you help us out? Oh, man. All right, guys, thank you so much. Let's get a big round of applause. Harry Manfredini, Tracie Savage, Ron Sloan, Vince DiSanti, and Chris Norris. Let's go, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming out here.
Hey, this is Alex Malari Jr., and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Your Emperor commands it. Thanks for watching.